Okay. Call the meeting, the special meeting for the corporate authorities. Call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Brewer? Here. Trustee Grant? Trustee Jones?
Here.
Trustee Tate? Trustee Todd? Here. Trustee Zupan? Here.
Okay, just going on site, but I don't see anyone here for public comment, but if there is someone that would like to come up for public comment, all questions and comments must be directed to the mayor. Each speaker may comment on the topic of the special meeting agenda only, and each speaker will be allowed one opportunity to speak. Okay. That being said, go to the business at hand. We're going to start with the discussion and we do the action. Did everyone get a chance to look over the different things that we're going to discuss? The first one is the application of a zero loss and cost factor to the 2017 tax levies for the Village of Sauk Village, Cook, and Will counties. Basically what this does is we haven't done it in a while. I'm not sure why, but on most levies that we get, we're only going to get a certain percentage. Even though we ask for $300,000 or whatever we ask for each one of the entities that are involved in the levies, a lot of times they don't give us but maybe 80% of that. So what we do, what has been done, and what should be done is what they call a zero loss cost factor, that we tell them and let them know that we need all of the money that we're asking for. So this enables us to get, or hopefully to get, all of the levy money that we ask for in taxes. So it's just basically another application to say, please, please, we need the X amount of money that we are levying for, not just the 80% that you normally give us.
So this is not anything that we're going to put on taxpayers' backs?
No, basically this is letting us, this is basically, we asked for, say, $6 million for a levy. They give us $5.3 million. Well, we're letting them know we need the whole $6 million. And this is why we need it, and if you can see right here, this is what we submit. So hopefully, it's basically please, please. And hopefully we can get it all. And a lot of times we've gotten from 80% to 92%. And so, but no, it's not an additional levy, no. No, they're only gonna let us levy X amount anyway. 2%, I think it's 2.2 or something. Yeah, it has to be, so. But a lot of times they give you a percentage of what you ask for, so we're asking, can we get the 100% of what we're asking for? So that's what this is basically stating. And it hasn't been done in a while. This is something that I don't know why it hasn't been done, because if you ask for a levy and you levy 2%, they give you 1.8%. They figure but we're letting them know we need the whole 2%. Hopefully we'll get it. It's not a guarantee, but it also doesn't hurt to apply for it.
Is 10% the max we can ask for?
10? What do you mean 10%?
Well, that's what's in here, is mentioned 10%.
Oh, okay, that's the loss. Yeah. We're trying to, because like I said, they usually give us 80% or 85%, so.
Well, we've got as much as 99% as recently as 2012, so.
That was 2012. That's the last. That was probably about the, no, I'll take that back. It's been since then that we filled out, but it's been a while since we've done this. We haven't done this in a while. As for the, because if we don't get it all, then quite naturally, we lose money. Any other questions? Okay. The next item is, quite naturally, is the levy itself. It's self-explanatory. It shows what we're levying for. And EAV, we did all of that due diligence. As you Can see our AAV is down for many years, but then again, so is the rate of return as far as the taxes are concerned too. So, believe it or not, when you get assessed valuations or the homes get assessed in the village and they get a tax break, that's where it comes from. So, you know, Sauk Village may get a reduced rate of a few $1 million, but the whole region does not. If they're used to pulling $300 million out of this area, they're still going to get $300 million. You may not get it all. You may lose some other municipalities or areas may gain some, but it's still going to be the same amount. But it's going to get, they're not going to get less than they did last year. That's not going to happen.
So our EAV is up from last year, though?
Yes, it is.
So I do have questions. When I'm looking at Exhibit A in the ordinance, there's nothing indicated for the bonds and interest at the top?
That's automatic. Those are automatic. They don't have to be, that's not included. The bonds are automatically levied for because we cannot touch that money and it goes straight to that. So yes.
The other question I have is why are we taking out the police and fire pension from the house?
You said taking out?
Yeah, they're up at the top and then they're taken out down below.
Because they're going to go straight there to them. We're not going to get it. We're not going to touch it. So it's being pulled from that. I guess it would be for a reason. It's being pulled from that. We're levying for it, but we're not going to get the money for it. It's going to go straight to the pension, to the police and fire pension. Any other questions?
Would that also hold true though with IMRF funds?
No, that's a little different. That's for the police and fire pension is basically in their contract, well, especially police, it's in their contract. Okay, any other questions? All right, and then the last one is the gift amendment that was explained to us about the land that's on the west side of 394 down Sauk Trail, across the south side of where DV Partners is located, and west of where TIF 2 is located, which is Willie Brothers and Chicago Air Power and those industrial parks that are over there. So it's basically that land that's just west of that industrial park all the way to the homes that are right there. And everyone, we've had a person to come in and explain it to us. And is there any questions on that?
Yeah, again, sorry.
Sure.
Can I ask the Economic Development Director a question? Or maybe you know the answer. With Exhibit A, this is mentioned as 4 separate parcels of land. Yet when I look at the quick claim deed, they're only referencing 3 PIN numbers. Is there really only 3 PIN numbers, or should there be 4? Do you know?
Actually, 3 ones are kind of private way that is granted. That's why it's referenced. But it's not part of the parcel itself.
Okay, and then the other question I have is within the quick claim deed itself, when you look at the subject line, it's referencing 2 pins, and then down below it's got 3 pins. One of the pin numbers is the same as above, but numbers are flipped on it, so I just want to make sure we've got the right numbers.
Which page are you referring to?
It's Exhibit E, is an elephant. About 4 pages from me, 5 physical pages from me.
Okay, Exhibit E.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you look at where it's saying pins, 32, 26, 401, 201, 10, and then another
Trustee?
On page 7, it was indicated that real estate taxes for 2017, in the list of real estate, honesty, estimated taxes for 2017.
We don't pay any taxes on that.
It says the
Okay. If we're not paying it, then there won't be any tax.
We don't have any environmental impact studies for this area. We can do that from the board engineer. I know some of the things that we could do for the land, but we have an environmental impact study. Those attached to this is something that's really old. We have a current impact study from the board engineer that addresses the land, and it talks about hazardous material and all that stuff. So I imagine this was done some time ago, but we have a current.
Not that I know of, no.
And on page 9, it indicates that this information cannot be relayed to the public.
Where is that at? Oh, the confidentiality, yeah.
Why is that there? This is actually approved, and isn't that public information?
Well, it does say on the next page that there needs to be publicity after the closing. That can happen. Sounds like they just wanted it to be private matter until that point.
Everybody knows that, so why that's specified here, right?
Like I said, they didn't want it to be, a public, we knew about it. We didn't want to disseminate it to the public until after it had been passed, basically. It's not nothing that they're hiding, it's just that, who knows? They can't do anything on it. We already know they can't do anything on that land. And there won't be any due diligence that we would have to do this. As was stated last week when we talked about this, that you had the land for almost 20 years, and now that it doesn't do them any good, they like to donate it. I'd rather for it to come here than to go somewhere else.
I understand that, but what I'm concerned about, and this is from past experience, that, anything free, you gotta look at it twice, and.
We did about 6-7 times. Believe me, I was very skeptical, and it took a while for them to really get me on board, because I was the same way. I was looking at it, okay, why are you giving me this? What is it? What do I have to do? How much is it gonna cost? What's the ramifications down the road? What did you guys do? What if you say you've done? It's just so many questions I have before I even came to you guys with this, believe me. And because, I'm like you, I'm looking at why are you giving me this much land, but then knowing and living back there with it, I saw what they did not do or whatever, and I just didn't want them to annex it or give it to Stager, where at any time they could come in, or not saying that they would, but down the road, who knows what would happen. So we have an industrial park that sits adjacent to that. And if something ever happened, somebody felt that they wanted to come out and do what they needed to do to build on that land, it would still be part of Sauk Village. And that's one of the reasons why I said, okay, who knows, 20 years from now, someone may get a brainstorm and get billions of dollars and decide they want to do something. But right now, there's nobody that's going to do anything. That land is not inhabitable. I wanted to make sure that nobody could come in and do anything. And also, the lines are back there, so they can only go so far if they decide to do that. And then it's clear in here that they can't do any building there. Because when I first moved there, they told me that it was a bird sanctuary. So that's what they told us when we first moved out there 20 years ago. When this was explained, did they explain that to you? Wasn't that one of the things that was explained when it was explained?
No, I know it's restricted property.
No, I'm just saying, where is it at in here?
Yes, in the ordinance, that they can't build on. See, my concern is that I remember a conversation I had with the former trustee Myers, and he was going back there, he went back there 2 or 3 times, and he was talking about they were burning, dumping hazardous material back there, and I'm sort of concerned about it. I mean, what do you get back there? I mean, because they have been dumping back there for a while, so, because this is from back when Myers was on there, because I remember twice he went back there to put back out some fires back there. I don't know if it was kids or whoever, but the area back there with our environmental impact study, you understand what I mean? I'm not quite sure what's back there, and I asked us to proceed with caution because we should have an updated environmental impact study on what's back there and what we can and cannot do.
Okay.
Because it's been a while.
Okay, I can.
There's no sense in having something you can't do anything with.
Well, I mean, that's a lot of land in a lot of different municipalities. They acquire it, so therefore no one else can come in and do something else with it. But I'll tell you this, first of all, what you were talking about was not someone dumping. That was a brush fire caused by instantaneous combustion. And that's what happened on that particular time that you were talking about, because it was right next door to where I live. That's the first thing. Second thing, I have not seen any, nor I've heard of anybody dumping anything in that area. I don't know if you, I mean, like I said, I've been there. I've lived there for 20 years, and I've never seen anybody drive through there and dump anything. I've never seen anything dumped there, except for leaves, not leaves, but grass. From when people cut grass, something like that. Outside of that, I've never seen anyone drive up there and dump anything in that parcel. And if we want to pay for it, I mean, if that's the case, but I mean, like I stated before, I had them go back to the drawing board several times. I had our lawyers on it to make sure that what we were getting was an up and up. They had to convince me, first of all, that it won't be anything else, and it took a while. This has been something that was, when I finally got it and brought it to you guys, I had already asked all the questions, because it impacts me. It's right there where I'm at. And quite naturally, why would I let something like that happen? But that being, I'm talking about my house backs up to that. So, I mean, by the time, if something happens with that, yours would be further in. But I had to be, I wanted to be convinced as a homeowner before I even became as mayor, to make sure, and also wanted to find out what was the angle, why did they get rid of it, what was the reason, what did they use it for. They had credits. They got that land, like I said, 20 years ago. And they purchased it and they used it for credits so they can make money on it. Did they ever build anything? No. They used the land for credits. And I'm not sure how that goes, but they were able to make off of whatever else they were doing. There was nothing built there. They couldn't build anything there. You got the ComEd is right there, so you can't really erect anything. So while they built the land, they didn't even work the land for vegetation. They never did that. When I first moved there, before they acquired that land, some farmer had used it, and I think they grew some kind of beans on it, but that was just that 1 year in '97. After that, didn't see anything else. So that's probably when they sold it to these people. So, any other questions? Okay. But no, I just wanted to reiterate, no, believe me, if it was something that I thought that I had any reservations about, I would have asked them to hold off on it, because I myself don't want to get involved. I don't want the village to be involved in something that down the line, but they can never build on that land. That land has never been touched or anything like that. It was basically donated, I think, through the people that owned that land, and they couldn't use it. You know, they couldn't use the land, so they donated it. That's a tax write-off, quite naturally. Now, that part is right. When someone does them, like, they get a tax write-off.
Well, and I think at this point, they're probably losing money because they're still paying property taxes on it.
Yeah,
The
well,
money they made
I don't,
off of
yeah, they made money off of it, yeah.
Probably long been spent,
Yeah.
so.
As a matter of fact, I think they have less than a half a credit left on it, and that comes with us. What can we do with it? And that half a credit is involved up there on Sauk Trail, just south of DP Partners or Winpack entrance where Mark Collins Drive.
Well, sorry to interrupt, but you're confusing it with the developable land.
No, I'm talking about, that's the only part that,
That's what's developable.
that's all.
The credit, the half of a credit that's left is part of the structure that they created, the legal structure for the wetland mitigation bank that they created. They retain the right to sell that half parcel or half share of that particular remnant that they've got left to get the proceeds. That's in this agreement. But that's all that they've got left. That's why I'm saying I think they're doing this to us because it's not giving them any revenue.
Well, yeah, that's basically why they are giving it to us, because they pull everything out of it, and we can't do much with it. Like I stated, I just wanted us to, I don't want anyone else to come in later on. I mean, it's right there, so.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I wholeheartedly agree that we should get the land, but I'm sort of skeptical about not having a current environmental impact study, what's back there. I understand you saying, they're there a while. And also in addition to that, this ordinance doesn't, maybe indeed, I said in here, but it says nothing should be built on this particular land. I see somebody down the future trying to build something on it because some people really need the money these days. So, if it's somewhere here, I can see it, that nothing should be built on that particular piece of land.
You cannot build, okay, you know where I'm talking about.
I know what.
Unless someone down the way moves ComEd lines, which those are the transfer lines that you see back there, they can't build back there anyway.
Well, the other thing is too, it's village-owned property. You can't build unless the village gives you the okay to do so.
And that's what I'm saying, it should be stuff in the ordinance that nothing should be built back there.
Well, I think that's a separate topic. This is the resolution to accept it against.
Any more questions? Okay. All right, well then we'll move into the second part, action to be taken. I'll accept the motion to adopt the resolution to request application of zero loss and cost factor to the 2017 tax levies for the Village of Sauk Village, Cook and Will counties. I accept the motion for that.
So,
Second.
It was moved by Trustee Todd, second by Trustee Jones. Any questions? Madam Clerk?
Trustee Brewer?
No.
Grant?
yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Tate? Todd? Yes. Zupan?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Wow. Okay, the second motion, and action be taken, I'll accept the motion to adopt the ordinance for the levy and the assessment of taxes for the year 2017-2018 fiscal year for the Village of Sauk Village, counties of Cook and Will.
Second.
It was moved by Trustee Grant, second by Trustee Todd. Any questions? Madam Clerk?
Grant?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Tate? Todd? Yes. Zupan?
Yes.
Brewer? No.
Motion is carried. The third item, I'll accept the motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the Village of Sauk Village to enter into a gift agreement by and between Ecologist Planning, Inc. and Incorp. Limited as donors for the property commonly known as Sauk Trail west of 394.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee Todd. Any questions? Madam Clerk.
Jones?
Yes.
Tate? Todd? Yes. Zupan?
Yes.
Brewer? Same. Grant?
Yes.
Motion is carried. I know it says general comments of the mayor and board of trustees for this particular agenda. I'll start with trustee Brewer.
Mr. Mayor, my concern is that we can't keep constantly taxing residents here. We can't keep raising taxes. Residents are leaving here, trying to get assessment value, having improved, and for us to keep raising taxes every year, we don't get the goods and services that we should get. I don't think we need to keep on taxing people for places that we're not actually, that's worth anything. The current state of the village is as such that we get large pots of money and all of a sudden it disappears and stuff. And it's like they account for a lot of this money, and I really don't think that we're doing our due diligence for the residents to raise their taxes every year for something that they're not getting. So that's my opinion, in my mind. And tax all the way out of this. We need to cut back somewhere.
Okay, trustee Grant. Trustee Zupan.
No comment.
Trustee Tate. Trustee Todd.
No comment.
Trustee Jones.
No comment.
Okay, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. We'll re-adjourn at 7 o'clock. Thank you. Okay, we'll call the meeting in order, committee meeting of the whole. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Brewer? Here. Trustee Grant? Here. Trustee Jones?
Here.
Trustee Tate? Trustee, welcome, Trustee Tate. Trustee Todd? Here. Trustee Zupan?
Here.
We're not going to go into executive session.
Here.
We're going to move right into the meeting. First of all, I would like to say welcome back, Trustee Tate. And I'm sure that everyone had a chance to congratulate you back on your return. Also, could we silence all phones, electronics for during the meeting? Our first presenter is the Owens Group. They're here to present our workman's compensation renewal proposal. At this time, this is what we have to do every year. And I'd like to bring Mr. Bruce Mitchell and Valerie Lewis up front, representing the Owens Group, and they're going to explain the renewal proposal for our workman's comp insurance. Good evening, Madam and Sir.
Good evening.
Thanks for having us. And we're going to, as you said, go over the workers' compensation program for 2018-19 for the Village of Sauk.
They're gonna make you,
Oh, I got to get louder.
there you go. You may have to pick it up yourself.
How's that?
There you go.
All right, thank you. All right, so we look at the table of contents. We're going to go over is the executive summary. We're going to go through the cost and claims analysis. We're going to talk about the grant program that IPRF offers the village, as well as the workers' comp loss control objectives for 2018. starting off with the executive summary. And we're obviously not going to go through the entire document, but I'm going to go through bullet points and just point out things that's probably going to be the most important aspects of the program for you. So firstly, we're going to start off with the loss ratio. When we talk about loss ratio, that's the amount of premium dollars that the carrier is applying to claims as opposed to what they're profiting on. The village's loss ratio is 63%. So Illinois Public Risk Fund is spending 63% of your premium dollar on claims. When it comes to claims, you really want your loss ratio to be like 50%. Anything at 50% and lower is an attractive risk for a carrier. Anything over 50% means that they're spending too much money on the claims themselves. And either we need to mitigate the claims that the village is experiencing, or you're going to see a higher premium cost. The experience modification factor is a combination of the claims and the premium paid for the year, and the insurance companies calculate your experience modification factor. The village's modification factor is 1.28, meaning that 128% of the premium has been dedicated to claims over a 5-year period. That's a bad ratio. You really want that experience mod to be 1 and lower. When it's 1 and lower, you get a credit, and you might get like 5–10% off of your premium. When it's over 1, it's a debit, meaning they're going to add the cost to your premium. So we want to get that experience modification down. And once we get that down, you see the premium levels come down, and it'll correlate with the claims. It'll make more sense when it comes to that. As far as the enhancements of the program, we worked on the employee manual with your HR department, and we offered HR solutions. We recommended that Dr. Alicia Strauder come into the village and work with the village on its HR program. As far as Illinois Public Risk Fund, it's their program. The program itself is one of the stronger pools in the state of Illinois. It's one of the few pools that's actually accredited. I did include in your packets the accreditation or the financial strength of the Illinois Public Risk Fund. Now, some of the other pools out there, they might tout the number of members they have, but Illinois Public Risk Fund is actually accredited with a AAA rating. So that's obviously what you want insuring the village. The next page goes into the grant program that Illinois Public Risk Fund offers. The village is qualifying for a grant of $20,828, which you can apply to some loss control equipment. I listed some of the things that are available through the grant program, be it body armor, tasers, body work cameras, police tactical equipment, snow removal equipment, safety ladders, portable cranes, etc. So, and also in the packet is a list of all of the items that you can purchase through the grant program that IPRF has in place. The next section is in regards to the program that's renewing in March 24th, and it lists all of the carriers that we're approaching to get quotes to present to the village prior to renewal. And that's just for you to get an idea. We got out to the market pretty early, and we expect to have quite a few quotes to present to you, so it's going to be an interesting March. And the next section is the...
If I could just interrupt before you go
Sure.
on, and deal with my questions as we go.
Of course.
When do you expect to actually bring these quotes to us? I'm hoping it's before March, so we've got those in time to roll over.
Yeah, we generally get the numbers in February.
Okay, so mid-February?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, the next section discusses the actual workers' comp coverage that's effective January 1st, 2018 through January 1st, 2019. Illinois Public Risk Fund came in with a rate or a premium of $277,405, which is 14% higher than the premium last year. You had a 6% increase in payroll. Obviously, the payroll in combination with claims equals higher premium. So, we need to get the claims down. And your claims, we'll go through some of the claims experience later on in the presentation. But that's a common theme. The claims activity equals higher premium, obviously. The other things that we listed in here are the exposures, the historical exposures over the last 5 years. So the 2018 payrolls per class code. And then the next page, we start the 5-year analysis starting at 2013 all the way through 2018, which lists all the payrolls per class code per year. And this is insurance minutia. I'm sure it's not all that interesting for you, but finally we get to the historical experience mods and as well as the historical payrolls and premiums for the last 5 years. So you get to see the history for the village and the direction that it's going in. You can see that the premium, the yearly loss ratios has gone up, and that had that one bad year in 2015-16 where it was at 83%, came down a little bit to 70%, and then in 2017-18 it's at 24%, which is rock solid. And that's why you have a 63% loss ratio. That 2015-16 year and 2016-17 were particularly bad as far as your overall score. And you can see that in the experience mod, it's kind of 1.26, 2013-14, pretty steady. Then 2017-18, it dropped to 1.01, which is great. But going into 2018-19, it spiked back up. You had a couple of claims last year. Well, the last 2 years, resulting in that 1.28 experience mod. So we got to get that mod back down. Now, the next page, we have some of the claims activity over the last 5 years, and then you can see 2013-14, good year. 14-15, great year claims-wise. 15-16, you had a spike. But it's not the number of claims you had, it's more the cost. You have two factors when it comes to claims. You have a lot of claims and low payout. The insurance company's thinking they're gonna have a big claim, one big claim coming up. If you don't have any claims, then they're worried, all right, there's gonna be one big claim, but they'll cut you a little slack. But if you have a lot of small claims, that's a warning sign for them that something big is down the pipe. 2016-17, you had 10 claims, which not the best. In 2017-18, you had 13, and you had 59,000 in total payout. So the claims are going in the right direction. Started off good at 13, 14, 14, 15. At 15, 16 years really hurt, and that's where the experience mod has been affected the worst. I have listed some of the claims that the village has experienced in the last 5 years that are over 20,000. It doesn't go into detail, but it just gives you an idea. The largest claim that's on here, the total incurred, is 160,000, and that was in 15-16. You had another, you had a few that was over 100,000. You had one that was in 2012, that was a fire, that was 124,000. And then they come down, but those couple of claims really negatively impacts the program. On the next page, I have a 7-year claims total from 2011 to 2018, and it kind of gives you an overall picture of the village's claims experience. Of 74 claims with a total incurred of 747,002. So we got a little work to do, but we're moving in the right direction. Next section talks about the Illinois Public Risk Fund's grant program. It shows the total amount that the village has been awarded for the 2018 term. And it just goes into a little detail on some of the products that the villages, that's available for the village to purchase, and then a total list. Now, the way that the program works is you would contact Illinois Public Risk Fund, their loss control program, and then they would say, based on your profile, what makes sense. I mean, you can pretty much buy anything on the list, but it has to kind of coincide with the loss control program and what you're trying to accomplish. You can't just say, all right, I want body armor, and that's really not in the mix as far as what you're doing on loss control. But this gives you an idea of the options that the village has, and whenever you decide to start this process up, just let us know, and then we'll facilitate it with the Illinois Public Risk Fund. And now I'm going to turn it over to Valerie Lewis, and she's going to talk about the... Okay, well, I also, like I said, I did include the Illinois Public Risk Fund's financials that you guys can have for your review, just to give you some comfort to know that the Illinois Public Risk Fund is going to be around for a while to take care of the village's needs with regards to claims. And now, having said that, I will turn it over to Valerie Lewis, and she's going to talk about loss control objectives.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay. As some of you may be aware, the village started working on a loss control program approximately 3 years ago. And when we worked with the village, we established a safety committee, which meets on every other month as an executive team. But then every month they are supposed to be meeting internally to have their own interdepartmental safety objectives, training, education, awareness. So we have been working towards strengthening that program so that everyone is aware of what their claims are, what the dollars are for the village as a total, and then how their individual departmental objectives help the village to either be more fiscally sound or to be more of a risk, as far as what your dollars are that are going out for claims. So some of the things that we track are, well, as Bruce illustrated earlier, with your workers' compensation specifically, it's based on what your payroll is, how many employees you have, what you do as far as what their exposure is. So if they're police officers, firefighters, public works people, code enforcement, on down the line, what are the things that are more hazardous with their jobs that we expect to happen? So with an insurance company, they look at, well, I'm going to put a little something aside because you're a police officer. You could be shot, you could get into a little tussle with an arrestee and possibly hurt a shoulder, an elbow, an ankle, your knee, or whatever. So there are certain types of injuries that we do expect to happen within the certain industries, and we know what those costs would be. For instance, we know that knees are very expensive. Shoulders are now considered the entire part of your back and the arm. So it's a very expensive part of the body. What we try to do is look at what areas of the body do we see we're having problems with. Is it because of the lack of training? Is it because of lack of resources? Is it due to someone being a novice on the job and maybe they were put out there too soon, or they just omitted to follow the procedures? So we look at all of those kinds of things when we're doing safety work. So what I tracked was, what are our work comp costs per employee? For the 38 full-time equivalent employees and 25 part-time equivalent you have, your work comp costs per employee are $3,730. That is money that we are working to get down because that is a huge drain on your budget, on your general fund. What are some of our major trends that we've noticed? We've had 19 slip and fall injuries, which account for 25% of your total claims. We've had 9 claims where officers are wrestling with the subject. And in years past, before tasers, we saw a lot more of these types of injuries. You get into a scuffle with somebody, you're running after them, and you slip and fall or you hurt yourself. With the advent of tasers, using tasers, that has reduced those types of injuries somewhat. When they still occur, they're still expensive. We've had 8 lacerations, quite an unusual number for a village of this side, and actually I do a good number of municipalities and have been for over 20 years. When you see that many laceration types of injuries, you're wondering, well, what are you doing? What's going on? So we identified some improper procedures and actually the wrong equipment being used in the wrong manner. So we addressed that about 2 years ago. This information that you see is historical. Over the past year or so, we really have not had the types of losses that we've had. And also, you have, as a village, invested in making sure that now someone is tracking, monitoring, looking at claims. One of the biggest issues that we encountered, yes, we started a safety committee. But without the proper support from the administrative level, we're in a claim, we're making sure that the claim forms are filled out properly, we're making sure that the claims are being reported to the insurance company timely. when you have a huge lag in when a claim occurs, if I hurt myself today and then I don't report the claim until 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, it puts the village at a disadvantage. You can't do an investigation. You have lack of information on that's improperly completed on a form to give to the insurance company. They are now at a disadvantage because they also need to do an investigation. So you start to minimize the amount of information and evidence of things that you have available to you. So what we've done is we've recreated your entire reporting format so that everyone knew and knows and should know, because we've stressed it, what forms are required, what things are required on the forms, how quickly we should be reporting. We strive for less than a 72-hour turnaround on getting your claims to the insurance company. And with that, you get to do better information, and also you get to administer to that person quicker. You know, if it's something that they do not need to lawyer up, we get to them faster. So over the course of the last year and a half, you've been able to do that better. You didn't have a person in-house, frankly, that was able to track that information. So with the assistance of an HR person in place, you're able to now say, okay, you didn't fill out the forms. I need more information on this form before I can even get it to the insurance company. Once I get that, they're able to do it quicker. And if we have things that are questionable, we're able to now communicate that better. Years ago, there was no way to say, well, we're not sure if this claim happened the way that this person said it did. We're not sure if this claim even happened at all on our dime. But we're stuck because there was no paperwork or there was no information, and we didn't have pictures, we didn't have witnesses, whatever the case may be. So it impacts you in a negative way, and this is some of the numbers that Bruce was sharing with you. That's historical. You're 15, 16, you're 16, 17 years. It's based on things that were there before you actually had some measures in place to control it. So yes, you had safety going on. Yes, you do great training. Fire department does call expected types of losses. You do tactical training in police because you want to mitigate expected types of losses. I want you to know your policies and procedures. I want you to remember what the laws state so that you don't do things that are untoward the village and incur additional liability. You're not acting outside the law as a police officer. You're doing things according to statute. However, if we have nobody to monitor that paperwork for you, that's where your gap was. So that's where some of the pain points were for the village. The MVA, 6 MVA, that's motor vehicle accidents, and that only accounted for 8% of your claims. So what we were looking at was, why were we having those slips and falls? What was going on with that? What kind of resources do we need to give to our departments to ensure that those things are not occurring in the future? So I'll talk a little bit more about that later, and I'm going to go through this for you, not belabor it. Bloodborne pathogen, we had one. That bloodborne pathogen is when someone is exposed to bodily fluids from another person. So say a firefighter is in a fire and they're helping someone and they get blood on them and it's in a cut. Or police, that's pretty much usually, needle sticks, you're patting someone down and something could happen. Or someone spits at police officers and they spit in their eye. That happens frequently. So what we do is try to train on what kind of exposures you could be encountering and what kind of equipment do you need to have. And we want to make sure that all of the departments use the proper protective equipment. It's called PPE, personal protective equipment. So we've evaluated what they're using and making sure that it's adequate. We've had 3 shoulder injuries, 3 heat exhaustion and fire inhalation injuries, and 74 losses over a 7-year span, which is 10 losses per year. Now, on the surface, that's not too bad. If it's small frequency, little things, medical only, I got cut, I fell, I went to the doctor, okay, I'm okay, I returned to work. You have a couple that are pretty prickly, and we're still working through them because they weren't slam dunk cases. Might be questionable, or that they're just treating and the treatment may take long. So we talked about what your total incurred costs were, and their average annual cost is $106,000. That is something that we're working towards. Your largest losses were shoulder and arm injuries, firefighter and police, where there was a rolled ankle. something as innocuous as a rolled ankle has turned into a really huge nightmare for the village from a claim standpoint. So what do we do to reduce these losses? We've actually had heart-to-heart meetings with each department head to talk about what their individual losses were. And we shared the message about taking, not only sitting at the safety meeting level, which is an executive style meeting, but taking the information that we share there and going all the way down to the ranks to make sure that people understand what's out there as a hazard and what they can control as an employee in doing their job to make sure that they go home safe and whole. That's our whole objective. We want you to come in and go home in one whole piece. And we want you to return to work whenever, if you do get injured, we want to take care of you. That's why you buy workers' compensation insurance. They are obligated by law to take care of that person. However, we want to discourage malingering, and that means someone that's just hanging out there milking the system. So we try to talk to the person if we are allowed, and if we can catch the person before they get an attorney, then we have a better shot at reducing the cost, but making sure that person gets a fair offer, a fair settlement, and that's what we're working on. We are now doing accident investigation techniques and implementing those procedures. The best department in the world that usually does investigations is a police department. They do it every day in their jobs. So we've asked for tips and training from other department heads and what kinds of things should they be looking at when they have someone who's injured. We want to incorporate safety as a part of reviews for employees. So if you have a department that has an excessive amount of claims for a village of this size, it may behoove the mayor to say, we want to make sure that we are showing our employees that we value them and their health and safety is important to us. We're going to measure you against that in a review. So that's something that you can talk about doing. Other municipalities do that as well. We want to look at near misses, not just your hits, but as Bruce indicated, frequency leads to severity. So if I keep tripping over that cord and nobody moves that cord, and I keep tripping over it, and I keep tripping over it, eventually, every time I slip, I am exacerbating the point where that's going to be a major loss for either myself or someone else. So you don't want the wrong thing to happen at the wrong time to the wrong person. Someone who has compromised health shouldn't be in certain situations, and that's the person that you're going to usually end up having a big claim with. We want to institute a village-wide safety initiative and theme monthly. So we want to incorporate more excitement about why are we doing this? Why do we spend the time and why do you spend the money on investing in yourselves to make sure that you operate safely? Machine guarding. If you're using a saw or you're using a, cutting trees and cutting limbs off, you want to make sure you have your goggles. We want to make sure you have that the blade won't kick back and hit you, that you understand how to use that. So we stress the importance of making sure that you don't circumvent the safety measures that are in place, which would be policies, procedures, equipment, guarding on machines, using the right equipment. So we want to incorporate a more, not fun necessarily, but bring them all into why this is so important to the village. These numbers are real numbers. These numbers that came out of your pocket. I mean, you're on a first dollar insurance program. This is not like you're on a self-insured retention where you absorb and can play with some money. It's a $0. It's their money, but you pay it in claims. So if we don't keep the numbers down, your premium goes up. That's just simple math. That's how that works. We're also doing additional site visits for potentially risk control and village supervisors for their job sites and supervisors. So we go and look at what they're doing real time. We want to focus with law enforcement on the program and manage arrests with additional staffing on scene. And we know that that's been an issue. We want to use these de-escalation techniques. There used to be something years ago called verbal jiu-jitsu that police officers engaged in so that they would not accelerate and exacerbate a person when they go to arrest them. They mitigate and calm them down and keep a certain demeanor so that you don't get all riled up and then we end up in some kind of uncontrolled scene. So we'll talk to the chief more about that and the use of conducted electrical weapons such as tasers. Consideration of doing a driver's rodeo this year. we don't have a huge amount of claims in the auto, but when you do get one, if it's a big one, you know, and there was no training, we can be saying, well, I didn't know how to operate this properly. So we're looking at that too. And then we're going to continue to use online training programs. We have them available now, and you have had for the last 3 years, and we want to encourage and foster more of that use for them to do things when we're not with them every other month. A big issue with the slip and falls is shoes. You would think it's trip hazards. You know, you have great, beautiful carpet here. But if I have the wrong shoes on, I'm inevitably going to trip and fall in the carpet. If I have the wrong shoes and I'm working in a certain environment, it increases my exposure to falling. What we have noticed is that, say for a firefighter, they may come to roll call, police officers, they come to roll call and they have their uniform, they're getting their inspection. You look wonderful. But what I didn't do is have you lift up the bottom of your foot to see if your shoe actually has any tread on it. So when we're seeing some of these slip and fall incidences across the industry, not just at Sauk Village, it is inevitably related to the condition of your shoes. So we are encouraging a shoe swap program. You swap out your old shoes, we give you the new shoes. And if we are actually contributing anything towards uniform expenses, it behooves us to do that. We want them to use ice cleats for winter. We've actually talked about this for the past 3 winters and given some options for that. We're evaluating the use of knives to cut gear, something that I have discouraged from the very first laceration incident. You know, you are cutting a person out of a seatbelt. You're cutting something off your vest, trying to get your vest off. Why are you using that equipment versus something that's more geared to doing that safely? So we talked about that too. We did a refresher on claims forms and reporting because that's so important. We did, and I talked to you earlier about bloodborne pathogens, hazardous communication, standard operating procedures. One of our falls was someone mounting a fire truck improperly. There is a certain way that you should mount and dismount from equipment, and that's drilled into people. So if you omit to do it, that means we need to do some retraining. We have a safety training matrix for loss control, and it incorporates a myriad of topics, of which are OSHA, the top 10 compliance items. So those things are, say if the Department of Labor comes in and says, Trustee Nelson, did we do any training on bloodborne pathogens or confined space? Yes, we did. Here it is, right here, so that information is to be held at the Village Hall. Usually it's in one central place so that you don't have a Department of Labor person prancing around the village getting wrong information from everybody. You want that centralized. So that means we need to track training, we need to track and record who attends what and how often. Another thing is called job safety analysis. That's where you look at, how do I do this particular job? How do I do the job of, say, a meter reader? I write down exactly all the steps and what my exposure to hazard would be so that we can identify where there might be a breakdown for that person that's doing the job and then help them to do the job better and safer. And then we talked about an accident investigation team. That is not something that we have at the village at this time, and it's something we'd like to go to. So it helps to break down the silo effect of I'm police, I'm public works, I'm fire, I'm administration, to we have one bucket of money we all have to come out of. I'm doing training over here on one subject. You can come over and take this training. We're pooling our resources. And you have some of the brightest, most gifted people, so we want to make sure that they understand, you're doing training already. Come on over. It's not just for my guys in this department. And we're going to look at some safety recognition incentives department-wide. You know, maybe it's something like a Super Bowl party that recognizes safety, but it's not necessarily monetary because that's not a good incentive for a safety program. It actually discourages you from being safe because then they don't report things. They say, oh, I'm not reporting that we had 5 guys that fell yesterday because I want to keep my numbers looking better than that department's. So these are some of the things we're doing, and it's really to just enhance your safety culture. You have come a long way. We still have a ways to go. We want to improve the morale. We want to make sure that everybody buys into this, and we want to make sure that all of our compliance gaps are mitigated. So if you do get a Department of Labor or any other governmental agency that comes in to ask, what are you doing? We have the information on hand so that the village is not open to that. So our goal is to reduce your claim costs down 30 to 50% in most cases, and we've met some of those goals in certain departments. We want to really address the big two. You have a volunteer fire force, so it's a little bit different, but they do training, and the chief does engage in that. We want to make sure that the police department is as invested in certain things, and that they have actually taken the time they have to make sure that we're filling out reports properly over the last year and a half. So we've been working diligently on that in that effort. Everything that we're doing is to get these numbers down. We're available to talk to you if you have ideas about anything else, and we're open to that. So I'll be back for an interview again in February to talk more about some of the things we put together in the training matrix. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions? Okay, thank you, Valerie and Bruce. We appreciate it. We will be in contact with you on this and also for March.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next item we have under the discussions is the development incentive policy given to us by Mr. Wizawati, Economic Development.
Good evening, everyone. You should have a copy of the policy in your packets. I don't know if you all had an opportunity to take a look at it, but one of the things that we kind of discovered was a problem, issue, concern, was when we were doing the renovations and items that Mr. Panos was doing at the Plaza Place in TIF 4. And what we discovered is there were no policies or procedures in place to address economic development incentives for anyone that's coming in to request those. So just bear with me, I just want to kind of give you a little bit of information here. There's 11 buildings in the village that have tax incentives tied to the Class 6B or the Class 8. In TIF number 2, the Sauk Point, there are 38 parcels and 6 individual businesses there. In TIF number 3, which is the logistics center, there's 8 individual businesses, 26 separate parcels of land, and at least 2 businesses that will begin construction, or excuse me, 1 business that will begin construction in 2018, which will require a Class 8. In TIF number 4, which is Surrey-Brook Plaza, there's 19 separate parcels with 7 individual owners, 10 businesses, and 4 businesses that will be opening in 2018. In TIF districts themselves, those are incentives. As we know with working with Mr. Panos, we're working with him, giving him an incentive, but the village is expending a lot of resources and time, money, in order to give those incentives. So, how do we address that? Well, we kind of spelled it out here in the policy, development incentive policy, and basically, if someone wants to, and I'm not going to go through verbatim everything on here, I'll entertain any questions and recommendations for changes on this, and we can go back and forth on that. But if a business wants a incentive, and we should encourage business development through the use of these incentives. There is no process currently in place. This kind of puts that whole process in place and formalizes it in a standardized way. So the cost of the incentives that the village gives away in TIF district number 2 is about $95 a year. And that's the portion of the tax revenue on those particular buildings that we won't receive as a village, or the TIF district wouldn't receive. That's money that's kind of spread out among the individuals receiving that. In TIF District number 3, the Logistics Center, it's $1,086,000 per year that the village's portion of that tax revenue on those Class 6B and 8 incentives. So that's money that would go into the TIF district, but doesn't because of the tax incentives that we offer. So the overall economic impact to the village annually is about $1.2 million on those 11 buildings. So these businesses paid about $3.6 million to Cook County in property taxes. Without the incentives, they would have paid $7.8 million. More likely, they probably would have went to another community or into a different state if they didn't get those incentives. So it's very important that we have those in place to attract the businesses. More important that we have a process that's kind of standardized on how a business would actually get those. So that's kind of why we put the policy together. Be happy to discuss any of the particulars of the policy that you guys have any questions about.
I have some questions. We didn't number the pages, so it's a little hard to tell you where to go page-wise.
Okay.
So let's do second page from the end,
Okay.
which is part of your procedures section. Number 1,
Okay.
complete development incentives application forms. I see attached. I don't see that attached.
Okay, I'm sorry that wasn't included in there, but there is a standard application form, 2-page. I don't know why it wasn't included, but
Okay.
it was probably my fault.
I'd like to see that.
Okay.
Number 2 talks about a set.
She can have it.
You can give us all copies.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd let you have it.
I didn't need to see it right this minute.
Yeah.
But number 2 talks about a check for a specific amount, and I just wondered why you didn't consider maybe having a scale depending on the size of the requester that might bring us some more revenue
Right.
versus a flat fee.
And that's a very good question. The reason for that is that in looking at other communities, they had a flat rate initially, so it's a non-refundable X amount of dollars. And then any additional dollars that would be incurred by the village, the environmental or geotechnical stuff that the village is going to have to do in order to get that incentive to get through, would be recovered on the back end of that application. So before the village grants that classification or gives them that benefit, then the village would recover that money from the applicant as well.
And where's that spelled out?
That is in the within the whole policy itself, that the village would recover any legal fees and whatnot.
Okay. Down at the bottom of that page, the last paragraph before we get into evaluation criteria,
Okay.
it says the director may make a recommendation to the board. I was just thinking instead, and I'm picking on words here, instead of may, it should say should.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then my last comment.
Because it doesn't say, one way or another, so, yeah.
May gives the director the option to not, and I prefer that not be the case,
Yeah.
personally. Flip it to the last page then, number 6. So the amount of incentive must be recaptured within a reasonable time based on the industry. I was looking at that saying define reasonable time. I think we need to have something that's a little bit less ambiguous than, quote, reasonable time.
Okay, and we can work out the details on that if you don't mind offering some assistance on that. I'd appreciate it. Or any input from any of the other trustees as well.
That was all I had.
Anyone else?
It just really gives, an objective, view at looking at these things when they come in, instead of, just taking it one at a time. You just kind of, there's a process, there's a way we do it, and everyone knows it's the same way.
Okay.
Considering, going back to the deal with the payroll group, you had an application you were trying to say.
we're getting a little confused with approving a project versus approving a tax incentive. Approving a tax incentive is completely separate. The requirements, there's no requirement for environmental studies. This is basically, you know, when you offer a tax incentive, you know, or if it's on the table during the negotiations for the business, the tax incentive is a but-for. So if the only reason that they can do this project is because of the tax incentive. So if they can't get the tax incentive, they can't do their project. So, or they can't continue their project. Because in the situation with the Class 8 and 6B, those are renewable, as you know. Those have to be renewed in the 10th year. It's a 12-year incentive for those particular incentives. And those are renewable. They're not automatic. It has to go before the board. So they would have to fill out, obviously, the paperwork, and we'd have to do our due diligence, and that's what this is kind of setting out, that process. So in requiring above and beyond what's required for a Class 8 or 6B or TIF financing or enterprise zone, that's kind of different from if they were coming in and saying, okay, we want to put an incinerator project here in Sauk Village. Then obviously we'd have to do environmental impact studies and stuff like that. But that would be at the recommendation of building and engineering, not from economic development.
So, in other words, you'll be looking at these different projects, but it won't be going to Kane.
No, in some cases, Kane McKenna would have to look at those if it has an impact on our TIF districts, because they are our financial advisor and TIF consultant. So we would want them to look at this and say, does it make sense? Okay, from a dollars and cents perspective. In other words, why are we giving someone a $1.8 million tax break over 10 years when we're not going to, you know, where's the benefit? You know, so that has to be evaluated, and that's their role.
Any other questions?
And that would be, excuse me, and that kind of stuff that would be done to determine that would be recoverable as part of the incentive. So that's why, right now, there's no policy in place to do that. This kind of formalizes that.
Okay, because I was concerned
I need you to please use the
Right.
mic.
They can't hear you.
We're supposed to be doing what? Is Kane supposed to be presenting it to the board, or we,
They still
everything
can't.
goes through you?
Trustee, they can't hear you.
Every,
Well, before we would send it to Kane McKenna,
but
okay.
it's.
we would want to do our due diligence before we'd want to go send it out and then
Okay.
paying them
So
$150
you
an hour. or
might, yeah,
whatever.
so you might get, I don't think this thing is working.
It works. They'll bring it up to you.
So you'll get it, and then, you'll probably, send it to Kane.
Right, we'll do our numbers before
Yeah.
we send it to Kane. Yeah.
Okay.
And it worked out really well because we actually did a lot of the work that Kane McKenna would have done on the Panos project, and that saved the village a lot of money in terms of getting that done in-house instead of saying, oh, we're going to pay $150 an hour for that. You know, so they normally would have taken that and did the whole thing. So in order for them to get, you know, the $71,000 that in benefit, even though they're paying out $85,000, we would have probably paid out thousands more in order for them to do that work. So it worked out well. But we learned a lot from that too, because we could have recovered some of the money for doing that. Attorney's fees, stuff like that.
Okay, Mr. Wiswhite, you're going to be working, this is going to be ongoing, correct?
Yeah, I'm going to actually have this cleaned up, and then I'll probably work with Trustee Zupan on some of the particulars on the language. And then if anyone else has any recommendations, I'd like to have this back to the board before I don't know if you're having a meeting on the 2nd of January?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so I'd like to have it back to the board by the 2nd.
Okay,
So
check
you
it out.
guys can argue about that, but I'll have it back to you by the 2nd for that meeting, and then well, you guys can take action on it on the 9th then.
Okay, I mean, it may not even make, it may be some other questions, so,
Yeah, and if, like I said, if there's something else
At the
between now
next
and then,
committee
we can always
meeting.
clean it up then.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll take
Next item is public comment. All questions and comments, can someone put a mic up there? Be directed to the mayor. Each speaker who may comment on any matter pertaining to the business of Sauk Village. Each speaker is allowed one opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes and may not engage in debate. No one comes up to the mic, that's good. Oh.
One question, this incentive of taxes on businesses, say if you give them a tax break, now, could that have an effect on our taxes? In other words, if they have a problem finishing a job, and then the city have to step in, do they say, well, if they need to give you the wrong prediction of how much it would cost to put it up, and then they say, well, we need another $2 million. How much of that will we be responsible for since we gave them this tax incentive? Gave them a break. How much of that would we be responsible for? And how much of that would they be responsible for?
If they're doing business with the village, they have to first of all have a permit and they have to have license, they have to have insurance.
Well, I know that.
So all of that will take place. So if they come and tell us that they don't have money to complete that, we don't subsidize, we don't put anything in. They can't complete it, that's between them, the lawyers, and whoever they were trying to get the business for. The tax incentives come in bringing businesses in so they don't have to pay a full amount. And there's certain criteria requirements that it takes for you to get that Class 8 or Class 7 or Class 6, whatever one you qualify for. Those are the incentives that we're talking about. And that would come off your property tax. We still would get our sales tax and business license money. Any other questions? Okay. You have a chance at the end.
Good evening. My name is Pastor Williams. I was here before concerning an outrageously water bill, which was halfway rectified. I was recently in your office the other day, sir, and you told me out of your mouth in front of witnesses that you would take care of the bill that was at hand. Now, I received a letter saying that I owe $1,000 for sewage. In my hand here, I have a digital printout of every bill from the last 4 years, sewage included, was paid for. Now, forewarning now, fair warning. I have talked to Channel 32 News. I have talked to Channel 5. I have even went to Channel 2. I have talked to the Southtown newspaper. This bill gotta be correct, sir. I am tired of going through this. Now, if you choose to talk to the media, you're still talking by not answering. I represent everybody in this village who pays a water bill. And in fairness, sir, I'm not being treated fair. Come election day, people remember the ones that treated them bad. Everybody in here knows who treated them bad before. Everybody knows in here who treated them good. The people will speak on election day, sir. Your seat may be at hand. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Christopher Jones. Right here I have a few tickets from the village of Sauk Village. And their final administrative hearing judgments. Their final administrative hearing judgments on tickets that I never received notice for. I've paid the tickets. However, I'm just here to redress my grievances with you all, because here I have paperwork stating that I was found to be, how could I say, I was defaulted on not coming for tickets that I never had notice of. However, it's dated before the date of the actual judgments, okay? The final decision paper is dated before the actual decisions was made, okay? And like I said, I paid the tickets, but I feel like I'm being extorted and just flat out. When I came to the window to talk to someone, the lady totally disrespected me, like basically told me, pay or get your truck, get your vehicle taken, basically. We're tax-paying citizens here. I don't think that it's right for me to be extorted as well. I pay over $10,000 in taxes. This don't make no sense, and I would like to have this redressed, and I don't want to actually have to get a lawyer involved for something that's so petty, but I will if I have to. Thank you.
Okay, before you go, I need to get the person's name that was rudely or rude to you, so you don't have to do it now, but before you leave.
I can tell you it was Sherry.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, sir, I did not. So you passed away, so I hear you back there. And excuse me?
No, I'm listening to you, sir.
Okay. Unless you want to address your comment in front of everybody, I can do that too, but I was hoping that, you know, I could talk to you basically like I did before, and I did call you and explain to you why that bill, the second one came, and obviously that wasn't conducive to what you wanted, so I can understand. So basically, if you don't get everything you want, you're going to go to Channel 7 or Channel 9 or whatever. I'm not going to address that. If that's what you feel that you wanted to do, sir, then that's your right to do that. But I will, are you through, sir? Okay, I will not try this out in the court, out here in the village like that. If you feel that, as everyone comes, I did the best I could at the time with 85%. I never said I would take care of everything because there was a lot of more things involved, as you know, as I sat down and talked to you. But if you felt that that you're not being compensated or whatever at a justly rate, then you have a right to go, sir, to wherever you. So I'm not going to try this here. If you feel that the television is where you want to take it to, sir, then there's no more I can do. But as I stated before, for what you had, and I explained to you why I did and what I did, to keep going back and forth because you didn't get everything that you wanted, then I'm sorry, sir.
No,
I did the best I could, sir.
No, you didn't, sir.
Okay, well then
take my bill back from October 19th
I'm not going to go back
the new meter.
At the
and
beginning.
You got 2 witnesses was in it, my sister.
At the beginning,
young lady
sir,
back there who could contest to it.
At
your
the
secretary.
beginning of public comment, I stated it would not be a debate.
At the beginning,
And
you did,
now
sir.
that's what
but you're
we're
not
doing.
telling the truth, sir.
The truth is in the proof. I forgave $4,600 of your bill.
Sir,
$4,600.
that I paid.
No, sir.
I have proof that I paid. This is why I'm taking the avenue.
I'm not going back and forth, sir.
Now, sir, now after this, I'm going to the media. I'm going to a lawyer. We're going to be in court.
Yes,
That's
sir.
all, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's it. If we can't talk this out, right?
No, we cannot. Not now, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Who was next?
Here's the contestant right here. Your witness. But I doubt you.
Sir, you are truly out of order. Okay, because right now you're out of order.
Marvel, that's okay. Let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish. Who was next? There was someone that was setting, that was next.
Witness right here.
Linda Washington. I'm just sitting here and I'm just really
wondering why are people so annoyed about people talking. I understand because being a former trustee, I know you can't go back and forth, but some people don't know the rules. They don't know that they can't come back up and talk. I feel that the mayor is qualified to let people know what they need to know, and everybody else just needs to really understand that everybody is grown. You can't tell nobody what to say. You can't tell nobody what not to say. You can't get mad because somebody want to talk. I have been in this audience where previous administrations were sitting up there banging that gavel. I won't recognize you, trustee so-and-so. I'm not gonna hear what you're saying, trustee so-and-so. People have walked over and told me I'm gonna stick that gavel up your whatever, cussing people out from the audience, calling the mayor a fat A and everything else. Now this administration is so whatever that you think that people can't talk in the audience. If somebody out there talking, and if you talking to somebody talking, you gonna stop talking like you demand for people not to talk while you talking. You cannot tell nobody what to say. Just keep on talking and saying what you gotta say. If it's important to you to say it, but everybody in this building is grown. You can't tell nobody what to do. We're not children. You all need to understand these people are angry. They are upset. They have a lot of things that's on their minute they want to talk about. And when they come up here, they are pissed off. And it would piss me off even more. If you tell me don't talk, or if I'm talking to the audience, you tell me you want to stop talking because I'm saying something, just go on with your meeting. It doesn't matter what I gotta say. I'm in the audience. I'm a regular person. You up here, you was elected by the people to be grown and to handle your business as trustees and as the mayor and as the clerk. Quit worrying about what people said in the audience across the room. You cannot stop nobody from talking. If they couldn't stop them last year, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, with the other two administrations, you cannot stop nobody from talking. Conduct your business. That's all I'm saying, because it's more annoying and then people get more go on with the business. You can't tell nobody grown what to do.
Any more questions and comments? Okay.
Bernadine Hopkins. Mayor, you say that there's no money to cut curbs, yet you continue to create positions and hire multiple individuals. You say our water rates need to go up, but yet you're hiring certain other individuals at like $85 an hour, which brings me to Valerie Lewis. I wanted to know, like, when she gave that report, is that something that the village is going to be billed for, or I have so many questions about the way things are kind of being ran. The other thing I want to know is, like, okay, our streets. I mean, our streets are actually obstacle courses. That's what they are. But yet, you seem to find money to pay these various positions, which basically are our tax dollars, and we are not really receiving like basic benefits. I don't want to risk flattening my tire to drive down my street. I want my curb cut. I need the bottom of my car. You know, this is simply not the Flintstone age. I need the bottom of my car. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is you've been able to find money for numerous things. You've got positions where you're paying $68,000 a year, if not more. You've got people you're hiring at $85 an hour to basically, sometimes I understand from what I read, talk to the attorney, so that's double billing. But bottom line, you finding money for them, and I need you to find some money for us. Oh, bottom line, can you just justify some of the expenditures or some ways that you created these positions or something? Just something to help me understand why I can't get basic needs taken care of. And I've been here for a number of years.
Is that it?
I guess, we'll see.
Do you have, how many minutes left?
28 seconds.
You have a few seconds left, is that it?
I'm waiting on my answer.
No, I'm saying, is that it? Because I'm not gonna go, I'm just asking, is that it?
Okay, yes.
Okay, first of all, you said you've been out here for many years. The reason why you're knowing about this now is because we're trying to be open, and we are being open and transparent to let you know exactly how much we're spending. That's the first thing. Because if you've been out here for many years, those pits, wood, and then streets and everything that you're talking about didn't just happen 6 months ago. As far as money to cut curves,
But it doesn't make it okay.
we're not going to go back and
No,
forth.
but it doesn't make it okay.
Did you want me to answer the question, or you want to answer it, or we're going to go back and forth? I'm not going to go back and forth.
You're not going to minimize my question, because
I'm
that's not
not.
an answer. That's not an answer. You passed the buck. I need an answer.
I'm going to try it one more time.
Okay.
Okay. As far as money to fix the streets, that's something we try to do, have been doing since I've been involved in the village every year. Do we get all of them fixed at one time? No, we do not. Do we get the money to fix them all at one time? No, we do not. But when we do get the money, we take the ones that are the least, the ones that have the most problems, and we prioritize them. So to say that we are not doing or haven't done, it's been like this since I've been in this village for 35 years, that they're going to quite naturally do the streets at the worst. That's something that happens. And I don't understand what you mean by money to cut curves. I don't understand that. We don't do curb cutting.
Everybody jumps off they curb. You know, to drive out of your driveway, you got to basically jump off your curb.
Ma'am, I'll
just
tell
to
you what,
clarify
after
that.
the meeting, if you'd like to talk to me, fine, but I'm not going to go back and forth like this.
We're not going back and
Yes,
forth.
you
You
are.
needed clarity, because you said you didn't know what that was. I just
going
wanted
back
to
and
explain it to
forth.
you.
Okay, thank you.
No, sir, I'm entitled to my answer.
I tried to, ma'am, but second time,
entitled to my
every time I explain myself, you want to tell me what I feel.
You said you didn't know. I just clarified that. That's all. So could you please continue?
This will be my last time, ma'am, that I'm going to continue. As far as water rates going up, they haven't went up in years. That's the last time water rates went up. Only thing that went up is your garbage. That's why your water bill increased. Because your garbage bill went up 3% this year, and it will go up 3% every year for the next 14 years, which is on your water bill. So your garbage rate will go up for the next 13, because it's already been 1 year. Will go up 3% each and every year. So it's on your water bill. So it looks like your water bill went up, but what happened was your garbage bill went up. And as far as if you look in FOIA or whatever you have to do, we've actually spending more money on the same employees than we did, because I don't have a village manager, nor do I have a village assistant to the manager, or whatever you want to call it. But I do have positions that I use the money wisely. I'm here full time. I'm part-time pay, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm here full time. So I'm basically doing 2 or 3 different jobs at this time. So I don't know where it gets to the point where we have spending more money for employees. No, we're not. As a matter of fact, we're spending less. Thank you. Any other questions?
Well, my $700 water bill,
Please tell me your name.
Amanda Myrick. You can't hear me in this mic?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Go ahead.
My $700 water bill. A couple of months ago, I asked you about, wasn't nothing done that I know of. I had to pay out my pocket all of the money. Struggling. I'm a single parent. I have no job. I'm disabled. I asked you about it. You said you're gonna look into it. You're gonna call me. Never did. I never got a phone call. The house across the street, I asked you about that. You never boarded it up. It just got boarded up like a couple of weeks ago, and this happened months ago when somebody took the door down, when my son have to walk to school every day. And no telling if somebody's sleeping in there, living in there. I don't know. So I'm trying to find out what's going on.
Is that it? Okay, as far as the board up of the house, I mean, it takes a minute. Even though you ask now, I have to make sure, first of all, we're all talking about money. So it's not that we have money, there's no tree, there's no, we can't, a lot of people don't pay their water bills, and that's where a lot of our revenue comes from, and also taxes. Our revenue comes from that. Eventually it did get boarded up, and that's why I was wondering why you were saying that, because it did get boarded up. As far as your water bill is concerned, I even told you when you told me about it to come up, and you'd have to try to see if we can come up with some kind of a payment plan, ma'am. That's the only thing I can do is come up with a payment plan, and it's something that we have to discuss, not here, but we will have to discuss that to see what it is you can and cannot pay for.
We did come up with a payment.
Oh, you did with who? Not
yes,
with me?
With my landlord. He called up here, he came up here.
Oh, okay, I'm not aware of that.
And the bill will still have to pay half and half with him through me. That's how it was paid. So I don't see how the water bill, you hear about the water bill. I mean, you're the mayor. So I don't understand. I don't hear about
every water bill, ma'am.
I don't understand. You hear about everything that goes on in here.
Okay.
I'm sure of that, right?
I hear about it when it's here, but like I said, we're going back and forth again.
With money, right?
No, I said we're going back and forth again now.
But I'm saying, do you hear about the money part?
I hear about what's here, yes, and I don't hear about every water bill in the village, no.
Okay.
No, I do not.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, public comment. I'm sorry, we're over with public comment. General comments, starting with Trustee Bernice Brewer.
Mr. Mayor, I got a couple calls from residents this week about their FOIA requests are not being addressed. I'd like you to elaborate on that. Second thing is that in October, there was a balance of $468,801.57 in the water fund. However, last week when Mohan was here, he said there was about $120,000 left in there. I would like to know where all that money went. Second of all, I also would like a report that shows any intergovernmental transfer of funds or loans for this period during October through December. Because to me, I don't recall, that's over $250,000, $300 that just went somewhere, and I don't know where it's at. I hesitate to put in a FOIA request because we are getting a little more information out there. But I would like to know what's going on with the water fund and why all this money is missing. Now, to empathize with the residents and myself, because I pay taxes too, there needs to be a change. We need to dive into how the water rates and the water bills are sent out to employees, because getting a water bill at $700 over a month's time and then a $5,000, something is wrong with the way we're doing it. And the last thing I want to talk about is we just voted for a tax increase. Now, it's my belief that we can't tax out everything. This raising taxes will not solve our problems. We have big pots of money that just come up missing. The increased water rates and garbage fees and fines and fees, it doesn't make too much sense if we can't account for the money that we have here now. And a lot of money is just not being accounted for. So my question, and I'm going to put in a written request to remind Mohan, I would really like a copy of the inter-fund transfer of all funds from any fund here to another fund, loans and funds, because there's money that's not being
talked about. I might be wrong, I don't know, but unless I have something concrete, I can't tell the people when they call, and they say, well, we put in a report request not being answered, what I'm supposed to say. So we need something to talk to the residents about what's going on. So we need to make some changes here. We have 7 talented people. We need to get down and find out what's up with this financing.
And you waited until the board meeting for your comments to ask this question. You couldn't come to my office, I'm there every day, to ask this. You could have asked me. You see me when you come to Village Hall every day. As far as all these questions you ask, I don't have the answers in front of me right now. I'm not gonna, I'll let you finish. Are you through?
No, go on, I'm sorry.
Okay. I don't have the answers for money as far as how much is what, and I'm not going to sit here and try to do that, but you're here at the Village Hall. You can come. You didn't have to wait to the board meeting. You could have came today, could have came yesterday, could have came last week for these questions. You have come and asked me. I've taken time out of the day to answer your questions. But now it seems like you're doing this for this reason, for whatever reason it may be. So my answer to you is I'm here Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I will try to answer as much as I can of that you asked for, and I'll go from there.
Well, I didn't know it was a protocol that I had to come back to your office.
No, I mean, because I can't answer your questions that you just asked pertaining to money without figures in front of me.
I didn't expect you to answer today. I said this is a report that I would like for you to get. I didn't ask you to give me an answer today. Residents are calling every day, you know, about different things, and I just can't run in there to you every time I get a question to answer and I don't know the answer. So I try to compile the list and wait till it's you know, a good time to see you.
Board meeting. You wait until the board meeting. That's what I'm asking.
Is there some reason why I can't ask them?
I'm asking. You couldn't ask. You couldn't say that. Were you here today?
Is there some reason why I can't ask them?
No, I'm just asking you. Were you here today?
No, I wasn't here today.
Oh, you weren't here today?
No.
Okay.
Is there some reason why?
No, I just said you could, because I can't answer your question, answer the question that you asked unless I have figures in front of me. I can't answer that.
I'm not asking for the answer to the question today. I'm just
Okay.
asking for a report. And there's no reason why I can't ask this stuff.
You can answer it anytime you want to,
Residents,
trustee.
they want their questions asked them.
Yes, okay.
You know, so, I mean, I'm not trying to diss anybody or anything. They just want answers to their questions, and they want to know what happened to the money in the water fund. That's simple. If we had a report, and maybe we'll get it for next time. Maybe I could just call whoever called me and just give them the information, and they'll be good with it. So, but there's so many questions that they need answers, and I don't have answers. That's my end of my comment.
Trustee Grant. Trustee Zupan.
Thank you. The one thing I was going to comment on earlier, and I don't know if the gentleman is still here. Oh, yes, you are still here. About the tax incentives that we would give to businesses. Just an example of why we would want to do something like that is if a business coming in is going to bring us a lot of sales tax revenue. So that would be a good reason for why we might want to give them a tax incentive to do business in our village. And the more sales tax we get, ideally, you know, that would be a wonderful thing, so maybe we wouldn't have to raise taxes so much as we do today. The other thing I wanted to mention, my committee is meeting January 3rd. That's the first Wednesday of the new year. For anybody who wishes to join us that night, it's at 6 p.m. here at Village Hall. We're not taking off for the holidays. And then speaking of holidays, I'd just like to wish everybody a very happy holiday season and everybody a safe, happy 2018. Good health, happiness for everybody. Thank you. That concludes my report. Sorry, Public Safety Committee.
Everything? Trustee Todd?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance Review Committee will have a meeting on December 28th, 6:30 p.m. here at the Village Hall. I would also like to thank the volunteers, there's too many to name, that helped with the holiday cheer. We have probably 3 baskets left now, but lots of chickens.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so,
Chicken in every pot.
but I want to thank you because we did have quite a few people come out. It was a very nice affair. And I would also like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, because we will not be here next week, which is wonderful. Thank you.
December 30th, that will be open gym. That's a Saturday from 11 to 2:30. And January 4th, the first Thursday of every month, that's Parks and Recs committee meeting. Monday through Friday, even through looking to maybe expand when the kids get out of school for basketball. Right now it's Monday through Friday from 3 to 6. We'll try to get on Facebook if we are able to expand that. It's all about the volunteers, so anyone looking to pitch in during the winter break for the kids, please contact me. That's it.
Thank you. You said Monday through Friday?
Monday, Wednesday,
Oh,
Friday.
Wednesday.
I'm looking to expand Monday through Friday for the Christmas break, but as of yet, we still need a little hand with that.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, last Saturday, we had, I forgot how many baskets, but we had quite a few people to come out and get a basket. As was just stated, we still have chickens left over, so if you know anyone that needs a chicken, please come by the village and we can disseminate those chickens. I just threw it out. Village clerk, for spearheading this program. It was very well attended. They had a DJ, they were giving out, they had all kind of sweets. I had to refrain from all of that. But it was a lot of baskets. That place was full of baskets, and they've just finally, as was just told me by the trustee Todd, we only have 3 baskets left, but we do have chickens. So if you're in need of either one, tonight when you leave, you can, I'm sure if they're able to, yes, they can pass those out. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for that. And you can find out. Okay, wait, I didn't hear what you said. Okay. So you're asking me a question or what? Oh, you're telling me that you donated chickens? Yes. Oh, okay, well, a lot of people donated, and I was going to say I would like to thank everyone that helped put that together, helped donate the chickens, the baskets, the canned goods, the mixers, everything that was donated in there was donated by a lot of different people. At another time when we get all of the donated people together, we'll get a list and we'll officially thank them. But I understand there was a lot of donations and it made that happen. Also, second thing today, there was Shop with a Cop, and they were able to do 25 children, and they gave each child $70 to spend at Kmart. Thought that was very, very great for them. They raised money throughout the village also. They had a GoFundMe account. I think they raised something like $2,700. And they were able to take the kids shopping today. And they had a bus that took them there. They had chaperones, the police, and that was something that happened today. So there's no one here that I can thank, but it was put on by the police department. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. And then lastly, but not least, I just wanted to tell everyone Merry Christmas. Have a safe and happy Christmas and holidays, and a joyful New Year's. And we'll see you again on the 2nd of January here at the Village Hall at 7 o'clock. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. It was moved by trustee Brewer, second by trustee Todd. All in favor? Aye. Opposes? Motion carried. Good evening. Yes.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. Happy holidays to you as well. And to all of you who are in the audience right now, who slaved with us on Saturday and Friday, thank you ever much. We will have a formal report during the village clerk's report at the next board meeting, and you will each be recognized, but know that I greatly appreciate each and every one of you, and also even for the idea. Be safe and have a wonderful, wonderful holiday period.